Longer life, many would suggest, means longer retirement. But think about this. A little bit of mathematics from here at MIT. From 0 to 21 years old is roughly 8,000 days. From 21 to midlife crisis, what many of us would call 45, 46 years old, is just about 8,000 days. I bet you're catching the algorithm now. From about 40-something to 65 is 8,000 days. But imagine this, the fastest growing part of the population worldwide is 85 plus. And if you make it to 65, you have a better than 50% chance of making it past 85. And guess what? That time between 65 and 85 and change is another 8,000 days. Retirement planning, finance, what we're going to be doing in the future is no longer about a short period of living with trips to Disney, grandchildren, and a few other things in between. It is now planning for 1/3 of your adult life. So here at the Age Lab, we have a team of psychologists and data analysts, behavioral scientists, trying to understand not necessarily what the finances of longer life are going to be, but what will you do with all that time? How do we start thinking about how to finance it, where to live, what to do? How do we invent not just a short period, but an entire new life stage that is waiting to be written? So as I write in my book, The Longevity Economy, this is not simply about more time. It is a time to reinvent life stages and rituals and the like. This is not your father's old age. Think about the following. This current generation, let alone tomorrow's generation of older adults, are not just living longer, but they have more education, they have more money, and more expectations than ever before. For instance, in education, not only do nearly 1/3 of them have some or more college education, they're also on the internet. In fact, Facebook was considered now the social media nursing home of all social platforms out there because the 45 and older are growing in light numbers. As I note in some of our research here, the future is female. Women are online in large numbers, particularly middle-aged women, doing research. They are the chief consumer officer of the home. They're not only taking care of their home and perhaps children, but they're probably caring for more parents than they had ever planned on having children. In terms of money, the longevity economy is not simply a story of more, that is, more older people. It is a story of more buying power. The 60 plus worldwide make up the 3rd largest economy after the GDP of the United States, China, and then the longevity economy. And if that's not convincing enough, in the United States, the 50 plus make up 70% of the buying power. So while we certainly study millennials and Gen Z here in the lab, and there's lots of them, for now, they have no money. And so for businesses that are interested in exciting and delighting and realizing where that emerging market that is hiding in plain sight is, it's right in front of them, and it looks a lot like the 50 plus. But finally, in the longevity economy, it's not just about more money and more numbers and more women being the primary agents of innovation. It's about a new generation gap. The baby boomers here in the United States or Europe or the Dankai in Japan have a new generation gap. It is an expectation to live longer and better. Throughout their lives, they've seen improvements in schools and stores and products, technology, and even public policies, paving the way for their entire lifespan. It is unlikely that that next generation of older adults is simply going to sit back and wait for the paratransit bus to pick them up 1 week late, or to hope that grandchildren come visit, or to think that their home can't support them and that's just the brakes. No, the longevity economy is a story of expectations with numbers, buying power, and political impetus. So one of the things that we have worked on here at the lab is how do you create new products and services that may serve an aging population but don't look like it's made for the old. Big, beige, and boring is not a product that not only do older people not want, but we also know that younger people would never buy it as well. We've developed a concept here in the lab called Transcendent Design. That is products and services that help the older adult and older consumer seemingly by stealth. That is, they excite and delight. They are things that people want in youth. You think they're cool when you're young, convenient when you're in middle age, and ultimately provide care in older age. So for instance, the almost ubiquitous personal emergency response system, or for Europeans, the social alarm, the help I fall and can't get up device. We know that this device is not only easy to use, profoundly practical, and affordable, so therefore it should be used. But in fact, around the world, less than 20% of those who need it actually use it. In fact, here in the United States, only 4% of the frail market actually uses those devices, because no one wants to wear a device, drive a car, or live in a property that says old man walking or old woman about to fall down. No, the longevity economy, as I write in my book with the same title, The Longevity Economy, is about deciding and defining and designing a world that excites and delights across all age groups. So in other words, the same system that may help you in old age is the same system that you may want because you think it's cool in youth. Older age used to be all about retirement planning. The question is, do I have enough money? Will my wealth span live as long as my lifespan? These are issues that we're tackling here in the Age Lab, looking at behavioral economics, not just in terms of savings behavior. That's basic need. We're trying to ask some other questions. How are people thinking about life tomorrow? For instance, are they really considering where are they going to live? And what does that mean in terms of trade-offs? Do partners actually agree and discuss on what their retirement or older adulthood goals and objectives are going to be? How do we engage people to envision that future self, which while most behavioral economics is focused around money, we've actually said, yes, it's money, but it's also something else. What are you going to do with all that time? Countless surveys, interviews, and focus groups that we do around the world have indicated that people that are older always somewhat lament the fact that I never knew it was going to be this long. So retirement planning here in the Age Lab is being transformed into longevity planning to take into account those issues that we don't think about. How am I going to provide care? What am I going to do? How do I maintain my home? Do I work, shall we say, in the gig economy before I finally say I'm stopping work overall? In fact, 30% of Americans, 20% of Canadians, and even 15% of people in the UK say they plan to work until they drop. The longevity economy is not simply about the money that they need to age well. It's about social connectivity. It's meaning, because while you need money in retirement, you also have to have a reason to get up early in the morning. And that's something that we're working on in the lab, to invent life tomorrow.